The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle, Matt, Dave, the SuperPlex Brothers! Welcome everyone to the SuperPlex Brothers podcast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And, well, it's episode 2. And of course, as you already know, if you listened to the first episode, and if you haven't, why haven't you? But this is a podcast about video games and pro wrestling. And like last time, I think we're going to start with pro wrestling this week.
Yep.
Of course, we're going to go over the shows that we watched. And I think first off, we're going to go over SmackDown from last Friday because, well, we didn't do the podcast in time for, or we did it before SmackDown aired. So
we had no choice, damn it.
Yeah. Not really, I don't remember every single thing that happened on SmackDown, so we're only gonna go over the major thing, which is the Daniel Bryan story and how they went on from there.
How they keep fucking this simple thing up so much.
Yeah. Yeah, the SmackDown stuff was worse than the Raw stuff, if you can believe it.
Ryan316 says you're pretty.
Oh my god, that promo was terrible. So, the show starts off with Randy Orton coming out to cut a promo. Actually, Vicky Guerrero is out first, and she says that she settled everything with Triple H and that they're on good terms again. And then she brings Randy Orton out to cut a promo. And Randy Orton actually cut a pretty decent promo. He wasn't... I mean, there were a couple times where he did the whole pausing out your sentences. But he didn't do it anywhere near as much as he used to do it as a face. And he actually showed a little bit of charisma. Daniel Bryan then comes out and starts trash-talking Orton. But he looked like an idiot out there. And I'm not saying this in the sense that, oh, he was booked weak. No, he looked like he didn't know what he was doing. He just kept saying, "You're pretty. You're pretty. Look at you. You're pretty." And people are trying to say that this is the next Austin. You know, I don't remember Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out and saying, "Listen here, you mealy-mouthed little bastard. You're pretty." Austin 316 says you look pretty today. I don't remember that ever happening.
Nope.
So anyway, during that promo, it was announced that Daniel Bryan will be facing Randy Orton in a title match at Night of Champions. And of course, Randy Orton tried to give him an RKO after the promo was over. And Daniel Bryan got out of it and hit him with a dropkick. And Randy Orton went in the back.
Pretty weak stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty weak. Later on in the show, Wade Barrett talks to Vicky Guerrero and says that he wants a cage match with Daniel Bryan. And they had a great cage match. Daniel Bryan did the same knee to the face that he did to John Cena at SummerSlam, so I think it's safe to say that's just his new finishing move now. Which is fine by me, because I despite the fact that I love when Daniel Bryan does submissions, I think everybody should have at least one impact finisher.
And that knee looks painful as fuck.
It does. Actually, the fact that he just kind of pulled it out of nowhere really gave me shades of Kaneko Man, which is always a plus in my book. But so him and Wade Barrett have a really good cage match. And then after that, Daniel Bryan wins, and he's celebrating, and Randy Orton gives him an RKO, and that ends the show. So Daniel Bryan looked okay, but Randy Orton still looked like he was better.
Which I get that it was the first SummerSlam
week.
Aftermath
the post-SummerSlam week.
But they just made Bryan look like shit on SmackDown. I mean,
well, part of that was Bryan himself.
Good in the ring.
Part of that was Bryan himself. You know, we can give WWE a lot of shit, but I do think that Bryan has some creative control over his promos.
Yeah,
at least
that promo was
bad, both in its delivery and in its context.
Mm-hmm.
It was just bad.
That makes me sad.
It does. You're pretty. Just
Hey, Dave.
stop.
Dave, you're
What?
you're pretty. You're
Ah!
you're so pretty.
You're pretty.
I'm
But anyway,
gonna kick your ass, but you're pretty.
yeah. So anyway, enough about SmackDown. Now it's time for Raw. This week's Raw, well, we start out with Triple H and Randy Orton in the ring. Triple H is cutting a heel promo and talking about how just how Daniel Bryan is a loser and Randy Orton is amazing. Pretty much your typical stuff. Randy Orton then cuts another promo about being the face of the WWE. Daniel Bryan comes out and Daniel Bryan says that at Night of Champions, um, he's gonna win. He called Randy Orton pretty again,
Ugh.
but he said that he's gonna tear his pretty little face apart. He called Randy Orton Twinkle Toes. Then the funniest fucking moment of that promo happened. Triple H starts healing it up. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. And Triple H just starts singing this fucking song, just trolling Daniel Bryan, and it was fucking hysterical. I laughed out loud when Triple H started singing that shit.
And a Triple H is a good heel.
He is a good heel.
It's just I
I
don't
just
know if this is the storyline to have him heel in.
That's not even the thing. If Triple H, as long as Triple H stays out of in-ring competition, I am perfectly okay with him being a part of this. My only problem is that if he decides to get in the ring and go over people.
Well, you know he is. I mean, let's be honest here. You know him and Bryan are gonna have a match, and you know he's gonna fucking go over because why? He's Triple H.
But that's the thing I'm worried about. If even if Triple H gets in the ring, if Daniel Bryan goes over him, I'll be okay. Or if anybody goes over him, I'll be okay. Because when you make a heel who can never lose, what's the point in watching? Because you already know the outcome. And it's the same thing with faces. When you have a face who can never lose, i.e., John Cena, you already know what's going to happen, and you have no interest in watching because you already know the outcome.
Right.
You need it to be unpredictable. And if Triple H steps through those ropes and it faces anyone not named Brock Lesnar, you already know the outcome.
And that's sad too. It's sad that Triple H has got to that point.
Indeed. So anyway, I also forgot to mention before Daniel Bryan came out, Triple H gives Randy Orton a brand new car.
Oh boy! Everyone gets a new car.
They gave him a brand new car after he won the $1,000 question. Actually, no, it's not a game show. But anyway, after Daniel Bryan cuts that promo, Triple H says, "You're gonna get in a match with Seth Rollins." And I was like, "Oh
He,
shit, we might be in for a good night of wrestling."
he turned
You know,
into a
Daniel
black
Bryan versus
preacher.
Seth Rollins. No, Triple H's promos, he always does the thing.
Right.
Quite frankly, in this business, but
In this business, I
but
go over.
so he says that Daniel Bryan's going to get in a match with Seth Rollins, and I'm like, ooh, we're going to have some good wrestling. And he goes, and if you can beat Rollins, then you're going to have a match with Ambrose. I'm like, oh god, I know where this is going. Gauntlet match. And of course, he says that if you can go over Ambrose, you can face Rollins. So we pretty much got a gauntlet match for the night. Triple H's go-to answer for everything, the Shield.
Which I don't like that. I'll be the first to say I don't like that at all.
Um, I mean, the Shield works as a boss man-like figure. You know, the Shield works as an enforcer. They're the perfect group of people to be enforcers. You know?
Yeah, but it's weird to see them as Triple H's lackeys. That's
Yeah,
what it comes off as, not as enforcers
yeah,
in this
but
particular scenario.
honestly, this isn't really anything shocking. I mean, they pretty much are the boss man of Corporation 2.0, which is fine. The only thing is though, they'll never live up to Boss Man's heel status. Boss Man was an amazing heel, just for the record. Actually, if Boss Man were alive today, I'd love to see him as a manager of the Shield.
Damn it! Now I want to see that too.
I just gave you some serious feels.
You're an asshole.
Yes, I am. So anyway, after that, we actually have a match between Cody Rhodes and Fandango. Nothing really important to see here. Cody Rhodes goes over Fandango rather quickly because The Miz and Rosa Mendez come out and distract Fandango. And let me tell you something. Rosa Mendez looked fucking good that night. Oh my god.
When does she not?
That fucking dress, man. But anyway, Damian Sandow was on commentary. And after the match, Fandango and Sandow attacked Cody Rhodes. And then Miz came down and helped Cody Rhodes. And all of a sudden, DJ Maestro Maddox comes out and pulls a Teddy Long and makes it a tag team match, player. And the only reason why I'm calling him DJ Maestro Maddox is because that's what he called himself. Because he was making a music reference to make fun of Fandango or some shit. And that leads to a tag team match, which happens right away. And Miz wins. He hits the skull crushing finale on Sandow after Fandango leaves.
Hey,
By the way,
go ahead.
Miz came out in Fandango's tights.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
After that, we go to the back for an interview with Christian, and Randy Orton cuts in, and pretty much it's announced that Christian versus Orton is tonight.
Symbolism.
Symbolism everywhere. Sweet mother of God, symbolism everywhere.
And they did that shit on purpose.
Yes, they did. And even Orton referenced it.
He did?
He referenced it, saying that just like always, you can have that one more match and you're gonna lose.
Ooh, that's kind of fucked up.
So anyway, uh, CM Punk and Curtis Axel was announced to have voting options. The voting options were pretty rigged. Um, Pretty obviously.
Surprise, surprise.
Um, you basically got actually it wasn't as rigged as you would think, but you had one that was basically like the definite the fans were not going to vote for, the one that was kind of in the middle, and the one that fans would obviously vote for
So essentially, it was rigged.
in a way that doesn't make it look rigged. So basically, the options were Heyman banned from ringside, which is the middle choice. You know, it's like okay, fans might choose that. The second choice was Paul Heyman special referee because you know everyone's going to pick that one.
I would have picked that one,
I thought of picking that one just for shits and giggles.
right?
And then the last one, which was the obvious choice, if Punk wins, Paul Heyman will be forced to step in the ring with CM Punk. Gee, which one is the fans going to pick?
Oh, I'm not too sure there, buddy.
Oh, gee, the fans picked Paul Heyman has to get in the ring with CM Punk should Curtis Axel lose. And Punk beat Axel in an OK match.
Now, you know what another thing is that it seems to me that WWE is kind of fucking up. And the fact that the matches that we know we're going to get on a pay per view or that we had on pay per view, we're now getting on free TV.
Mm-hmm. And after the Paul Heyman or after the Curtis Axel match is over, we get easily one of the best segments of the night. Paul Heyman is on the stage and he tries to run away from because he knows he has to step in the ring with CM Punk. And the refs bring him out and he's just standing there like, "Oh shit, I got to get in the ring with this guy." Like serious look of like fear on his face. And he tries to run away again and this time security brings him back out. And he gets in the ring and CM Punk brings Paul Heyman to the corner like he's about to start beating the shit out of him and then Curtis Axel comes in and gives him a low blow. And then of course um, they pull out the handcuffs and they cuff CM Punk's arms together. And CM Punk looks like he's starting to get an advantage again. He kicks Michael McGillicuddy, Jesus Christ, Curtis Axel.
You're not
He
wrong.
kicks. I know I'm not wrong, but it's but he kicks Curtis Axel in the head, and like he's about to take on Heyman, but then Axel comes in with a chair and hits CM Punk. And what happened next was probably some of the best TV in a while, not named Bray Wyatt.
Wow. That bias.
And so anyway, Curtis Axel takes out a kendo stick, and he looks like he's about to beat the shit out of Punk with it, but then he gives it to Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman starts beating the shit out of CM Punk with this kendo stick. And he looked like he had tears in his eyes while he was doing it. Like he actually felt sorry, you know? He actually felt like sadness for doing this. And he's beating the shit out of CM Punk in the ring with the kendo stick. And he's yelling, "I loved you!" You know? "You were my son," or something like that. You know? "You were a
Jeez.
son to me." And it was great TV. It was great TV.
I don't know how I didn't see that segment.
It was it was absolutely great TV. The only thing that really sucks about this whole thing with Paul Heyman versus CM Punk is that it is being wasted as an Intercontinental title feud
for now.
for now. But it still sucks that it's being wasted on that
Yeah.
because this is main event caliber stuff.
Yeah.
It was main event caliber stuff, and it was really good.
Well, who knows? This could be what what helps get Axel more over is that he's involved in this program.
The only thing that's going to get Axel over is the fact if he actually works on cutting promos. The man can wrestle, but he cannot talk at all, which
Which
is why they
is
put Heyman with him to begin with.
yeah.
But the man cannot talk to save his life. But anyway, it was a really good segment. Definitely, if you haven't seen it, you need to check that one out. Definitely gets my thumbs up. Definitely a main event caliber segment.
Yeah, we actually didn't rate SmackDown.
I don't think we really need to. It was SmackDown.
That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, you have stuff that was good, and you have stuff that nobody cares about, and it's SmackDown. You know, if I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it about a upper mid card, and that's being generous. I think the cage match is really the only reason why I'm giving it that. So anyway, uh, we then move on to a Divas match that nobody gives a shit about. Natalia losing to Brie Bella, a rematch from SummerSlam. Because, free TV.
People needed to see this match, you know?
Indeed. So after the match, oh, by the way, JoJo from Total Divas was doing ring announcing for this match. And of course, Brie Bella came out with Nikki Bella and Eva Marie, and Natalia came out with the Funkadactyls. So it was pretty much a Total Divas advertisement. After that match, though, AJ comes out and cuts a scathing promo on the uh, on the Total Divas.
Which I
It
saw
was
this promo. It's probably the best Divas promo I've ever seen.
it was basically AJ's pipe bomb.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that this was like AJ's rendition of the 2011 CM Punk pipe bomb, and there's some merit to that. I do think that, I mean, since she was a heel, it makes sense. But there, like they mentioned the whole thing about like Natalia's husband, Tyson Kidd, and it's like, you know, do we really need to see that shit, like personal family shit? But that's nitpicking on my end, you know.
I mean, it's
So
valid nitpicking.
yeah, I mean, it really is kind of nitpicking, but at the same time, it was a great promo. So next we have the World Heavyweight Champion Alberto Del Rio taking on the savior of the Mexican people, something that we did not talk about last podcast.
Because we
Ricardo
forgot.
Rodriguez. Yeah, we completely forgot. Ricardo Rodriguez is now managing Rob Van Dam, who he has determined apparently is the light and the savior of the Mexican people. So apparently, should we start calling him Roberto Vandejo? I don't know. I guess
Yes.
I guess we'll start calling him that Roberto Van Damo. So anyway, RVD versus Alberto Del Rio. Pretty good match. Ricardo Rodriguez was no longer wearing a suit. He had a suit jacket on, but he took it off and was wearing actually a pretty nice Rob Van Dam shirt. I wouldn't mind getting it. It had some nice colors.
I
Said
will
our
say this once again. I mentioned this before. Why are we getting pay-per-view matches on free TV?
well, I
We
guess
know
this
this is a pay-per-view match. We know it is, but they're giving
um
it to us anyway.
this match would actually determine if Rob Van Dam would get a title match at Night of Champions. So Rob Van Dam won the match, and he's getting a title shot at Night of Champions, which is pretty much a sure sign that Del Rio's going to win at the pay-per-view.
Yep.
So,
Van Dam's here to collect money and put people over. So
which is fine. That's what he should be doing.
yeah, he shouldn't be being like TNA, coming in and winning the belt.
Yeah. So anyway, we now move on to an interview in the back between Josh Matthews and O'Doyle back.
Oh God.
And it's pretty much what you'd expect. O'Doyle back bullies Josh Matthews, and we pretty much, move on from there. Renee then meets up with Paul Heyman in the back and starts giving an interview. And Paul Heyman talks about Punk like it's a son that needed to be punished. He was crying, and he said that he felt like a big man and all that. Good promo by Paul Heyman. Curtis Axel didn't say much of anything.
I wonder why.
We then move on to Randy Orton versus Christian, and of course they have a good match. Orton, say what you will about Orton and Christian, and I've been one of the people who complains a lot about Orton and Christian and how Orton screwed Christian's push and all that shit. And not to say that that's necessarily Randy Orton's fault, but just that Randy Orton killed Christian's momentum. But they always,
Obliterated his
but
momentum.
but they always had good matches together.
They
Always.
did.
And this match was no different. Of course, the ending you could argue was a little iffy, but Randy Orton's a heel, and he went over by giving a thumb to the eye.
Heel tactics.
Yes. So as Randy Orton is celebrating in the ring, Daniel Bryan comes on the Titantron, and he cuts a promo on Orton. And lo and behold, we knew this was going to happen. The car gets involved.
When does it not?
And Daniel Bryan pretty much pulled a Kofi Kingston. He painted
I
the
got
car.
you, Randy. I got you.
Yeah, he just spray painted yes on the car a bunch of times. It was an interesting promo, and it pretty much served the purpose that Daniel Bryan doesn't always look like a piece of shit. Um, Also the commentary, Michael Cole, shut the fuck up sometimes.
Please.
Randy Orton has a new Yes-Calade. I'm gonna let that one sink in.
No. Let's move on.
Let it sink in. Come on.
No.
It's sinking in.
It's not.
Yeah, that
Ugh.
that pun was bad.
You
Almost
should
as bad as
feel bad.
Batman. Almost as bad as Batman fans been afflicted with the problem of Ben Affleck.
Ah! Ah!
But anyway, so yeah, that happened.
So raw
So
rating.
so Triple H finds out that Daniel Bryan wrecked the car, and Maddox tells him that superstars in the back were laughing. And Triple H, of course, decides that he needs a human sacrifice because he needs to be appeased for the transgressions. And he says that Daniel Bryan will pay. And he's going to make all the superstars watch.
It's kind of weird.
Because, I know, it just sounds hilarious. Daniel Bryan's going to get massacred out there, and I'm going to make them watch. And Randy Orton says that Daniel Bryan's going to pay. So then we move on to Titus O'Neil versus Jack Swagger, and Titus O'Neil wins. That's all that needs to be said about that. We then move on. They talk about Bray Wyatt,
Woo!
and they played the awesome Sister Abigail promo. If you have not seen this promo, I have it on the Facebook page. You need to see this promo. It is awesome. We're actually going to talk about Bray Wyatt afterward, because in my opinion, Bray Wyatt is one of the single coolest characters in wrestling, and he's a lot deeper than most people will give him credit for. Definitely. But we're gonna save that for later. All that you guys need to know is that they played that awesome promo, and if you have not seen it, check it out on the Facebook page. Definitely, definitely worth your time. So we then move on to the main event. Daniel Bryan versus The Shield in a gauntlet match. Of course, the entire roster is standing on the stage, and Triple H did say, I forgot to mention this, that if anyone interfered, they would be fired. There's a huge plot hole with this, but I'll get with that once we actually talk about the ending to the show. So, while the match is going on, Renee comes out and starts interviewing members of the roster, and they're not saying anything, and it was really awkward. It
I
was
get what they
really
were
awkward.
going with there.
I get what they were going
It
with.
didn't work.
What they were going with made sense, but because of the plot hole in this whole thing, it really didn't make sense. And there's a couple of plot holes, not just one. So, um, they didn't want to get fired, so they just didn't say nothing. Daniel Bryan beats Rollins in a pretty good match. Um, Ambrose comes in, and they're about to have a match. Daniel Bryan puts him in the yes lock, and Roman Reigns gets in and gets Ambrose DQ'd. And then before Reigns and Daniel Bryan have a match, Ambrose and Rollins come in, and Reigns gets DQ'd. So Daniel Bryan technically won the gauntlet. Uh,
Probably pissed
so
off Triple H.
so Triple H Triple H comes out, and he's basically looking at the roster like, what the fuck are you people going to do about it? You're not going to do a goddamn thing. The most noticeable thing in that roster was Big Show, because he really looked like he was uncomfortable out there, like he really wanted to go down and help, but he didn't because he was being a big puss. But there is a huge plot hole with this, and I'm going to talk about it now. And that pretty much ended the show, by the way, was Daniel Bryan getting beat down again. Randy Orton did come out and RKO him too, so
Of course.
because Randy Orton's got to be on top. So anyway, um, the plot hole with this whole idea of if they go down and help, they're going to get fired. They didn't care about getting fired in 2011 when they all walked out on Triple H.
Oh, I figured you were going with this one.
They walked out on him, and they didn't give a shit. You know? Now all of a sudden they give a shit, and then there's also the issue with the Big Show specifically.
His ironclad contract?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's the deal? I mean, I get what they were trying to go for, but anybody who's been watching for more than a year will know that this is a huge plot hole.
Yep.
With Big
And
Show's ironclad contract, it's not supposed to be easy for him to get fired. WWE would have to pay him a lot of money. Now you could say, now Triple H, if Triple H comes out and says, even though Big Show has this ironclad contract, I don't care. We'll just give him the money and be done with it.
that's one thing.
That's one thing. But they don't mention this at all. They don't mention the ironclad contract. They don't mention the walkout. They mention none of it. You know? And where is the board? The board of directors? You know?
When was the last time they used the board?
They used the board in 2011 when the management actually had part of the story.
That's
Now
right.
all of a sudden, they are irrelevant and don't do anything.
Because they're a plot device.
That's all they are, is a plot device. And when you realize these things, you can point out the huge plot holes in these storylines.
And that sucks.
And
Honestly.
it does suck. It does suck. And listen, there's still potential for this storyline to pick up. Here's the thing. Daniel Bryan cannot be on the losing end each and every week. I understand he can't be on the winning end each and every week, too, but come on. You had Raw last week, SmackDown last week, and Raw this week, and I'm sure something's going to happen on SmackDown.
Hmm.
You know?
That's technically Orton's show, so
Yeah. So when are they gonna start giving Daniel Bryan the up curve? Because if Daniel Bryan goes into Night of Champions looking like he can't win, why would anybody believe that there's gonna be any other outcome?
they're not. And you know, that's the big issue.
That is a huge issue. That is an absolutely huge issue. Because you want your match, your number one main event booked match, to look like there's a possibility that any of these guys can win. Not
And
just one way or the other.
we don't have that.
We don't have that at all. Now, I'm going to give them hope that within the next couple of weeks before Night of Champions, that they're going to give Daniel Bryan some serious momentum. But if it's anything like it has been, then they're not. And he's not going to have any momentum, and he's not going to look like he has a chance in the world. Let's be honest. I don't think Daniel Bryan's going to win at Night of Champions.
Oh no, it's too early.
It, uh,
Storyline wise, with what they're doing, you can
with the
tell
way
this is a multi-match feud.
it's definitely a multi-match feud. There's no
He's not
way.
winning the first time.
No, no, and it's obvious.
Yeah,
That's
because
the
they're. It feels like it's almost a burial. Honestly,
that
if things don't change now, it feels like it's a burial.
yeah, and honestly, everyone wants to make these comparisons with Austin, and Austin didn't win every time, but Austin looked like he at least stood a chance.
Hmm.
Austin at least would get the upper hand every now and then. Daniel Bryan's been getting buried the whole way. Now, admittedly, there have been brief moments where he was like on top of Orton or whatever, where he like that drop kick, for example, or the whole thing with the car. But other than that, we haven't really seen much of anything from Daniel Bryan except for one really shitty promo on SmackDown and a cage match against Wade Barrett, who Wade Barrett has become jobber status at this point,
Which is another sad thing.
which is a travesty of justice. But anyway, that's Raw, and we now move on. Oh, by the way,
We
main
should
event.
probably.
I don't even care about main event. Main event is basically like superstars. We're not going to bother with it.
No, what we should do is actually give our scores for Raw. That's kind of a thing.
Upper mid card, the whole show.
I would probably say upper mid card, and honestly, the highlight for me was I'm gonna have to go watch the rest of the CM Punk stuff. But from what you said, um, I would have to say the CM Punk Paul Heyman stuff was probably the best.
Yeah, that was definitely the highlight of the night. The only other highlight of the night really being the Bray Wyatt package. Uh,
We had seen that before too, though, just not on Raw.
Titus O'Neil and Jack Swagger didn't really have much of a match at all. The only thing of really note here that I forgot to mention was Zeb Coulter's promo,
Oh yeah.
which was a little.
Even for
Uh,
his standards, it was a bit much.
I mean, it wasn't racist. It wasn't racist. There's a lot of people who are going to give the implication that it was racist, but it wasn't racist. Basically, Zeb Coulter came out and he cut a promo on Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, and he said that their parents were probably on welfare, which, you know, doesn't necessarily mean anything because there are a lot of people on welfare, not just black people,
Hmm.
you know? And he basically said, Mrs. O'Neil and Mrs. Young should have learned the lesson that if you can't feed them, don't breed them. Which is kind of like a lot of people are saying that was over the line. Which I can understand why people would be offended by that, honestly. But at the same time, you're not supposed to cheer him. It doesn't help though when the crowd is cheering this guy
They think
and
he's
chanting.
hilarious. I don't think a lot of people really understand when they're actually hearing it for the first time, like live.
Mm-hmm. but they're cheering along with him and chanting along with him. And and I can see why people would be offended by that. I know a lot of people who really were.
And that's gonna be an issue. Stuff like that, racy stuff. It's always gonna be a problem.
Yeah,
But it still works for TV. It was good TV, and I could see eventually though they might want to tone him down a bit if he keeps making comments like that. It's fine to have them, but there's gonna come a point where some of these organizations, like Be a Star and all the other crap, they're eventually gonna come to the point where they're gonna have to come out and do something about it.
I just hope that Zeb Coulter doesn't start cutting promos on Darren Young for being gay.
See, that's why I think I'm afraid that they're gonna go for that. Honestly,
Because then you know that what's it called there? Um, Glad is gonna start going after him, and that's the last thing WWE needs right now.
yeah, because they've already had issues with Glad because of the Michael Cole faggot tweet fiasco.
Not to mention every time John Cena would basically cut a promo saying how you're not a man, or Vince McMahon one time saying this looks really gay, or
But, I get
stuff
I
like
get
that.
that it's TV though. And that's what they need to understand. It's fictional characters on TV. Yes, it's controversial. People don't like hearing anything in negative light, but I don't think they're meaning it in a severe way as Glad always interprets it.
Well, the thing is, I can understand when a face says stuff like that.
Yeah,
Because good guys have no business saying derogatory things about anybody like that.
because they're not being a face.
Because that that shit really has no place in modern society. And when good guys say stuff like that, it's basically implying that that's okay. At least when a heel says things like this, you're supposed to boo them. You're supposed to not like them. They're supposed to be the bad guy. They're not a role model. They're supposed to be shunned and all this kind of thing. So at least when a heel says things like that, they're the bad guy. What they're saying is considered not appropriate.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's it for Raw this
Indeed.
week.
So we're not going to talk about main event because, quite frankly, it's not something that I really pay much attention to. It's basically like Superstars. There's really nothing kind of game changing on main event. You might get a good match, but there's really no storyline stuff. It's basically Superstars with the occasional main eventer on there.
Yep.
And Matt, you don't even get it anyway.
I don't get it. Time Warner down here in North Carolina does not, in my particular area, does not offer that channel. So,
Indeed. So there's really no reason for us to talk about main event. If you care about main event, go watch it. That's all I can really say about that. However, we are going to talk about instead is the single best wrestling show each week.
oh my God, yes,
NXT.
NX fucking T.
Ever since the relaunch of NXT back last year, I think it was June of last year, NXT has been phenomenal. 100% phenomenal.
And I picked a really good week to get into it,
Oh, yeah, you did. Because we're going to talk about one match from that week that
which was last
is a
week.
match, which was last week, which is the match of the year candidate in a lot of people's eyes, including my eyes. Antonio Cesaro versus Sami Zayn in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Oh my god! This match. If you have not seen this match, I want you to pause pause the podcast. I want you to go on YouTube or some other search file
Hulu, it's
thing or
on
whatever.
Hulu.
It is on Hulu. NXT is now on Hulu, so you have no excuse to not be watching it. But for the sake of this match, go on YouTube, search up Antonio Cesaro versus Sami Zayn 2 out of 3 falls, watch this match, and then come back. We'll even give you a moment.
Yep, here we go.
All right, time's up. So now that you're back, after having watched that amazing match, you'll now know that we think it's one of the most best amazing matches in wrestling in the past couple of years. Quite frankly, it's my match of the year so far.
Yep, and you know, after SummerSlam too, that says a lot
Yeah,
because those two main
honestly.
events were fucking awesome.
So we saw some really, really awesome spots.
Yes, we did, like that DDT through
One,
the ropes. Oh my god.
oh my God, Sami Zayn is so goddamn athletic. It's not even funny. And a lot of people are bitching and moaning because, oh, he's not El Generico. He doesn't need to be.
He's still a good
Sa-
fucking wrestler.
Sami Zayn is awesome. He's actually cutting good promos. He actually has a character. And yes, El Generico is a fun character. But El Generico can only take him so far.
El Generico wouldn't get him above mid card in WWE. I'll tell you that right now. It wouldn't
Sami
get him any
Zayn will.
higher than that. Sami Zayn
Sami,
definitely will.
and quite frankly, and another thing that people don't think about, if Sami Zayn bombs, he can go back to El Generico with the character completely unharmed.
Yep.
And it's as simple as that. But Sami Zayn versus Cesaro, fucking awesome match.
The finish.
One of my
That's the
favorite spots in
finish.
that match, not just the finish, I'm talking about the SuperPlex.
Right.
That
You're
SuperPlex spot was fucking awesome. Antonio Cesaro is on the second turnbuckle. He's in the mid turnbuckle, and Sami Zayn is on the apron. And with his strength, he pulls Sami Zayn up over the apron and gives him a suplex into the ring. Holy shit! Cesaro is freakishly strong. I know Sami Zayn isn't the biggest dude out there, but the fact is, you need some serious goddamn strength to be able to do the shit Cesaro does. And need we not mention the ending? The ending was unbelievable. The ending was absolutely unbelievable.
Yes, it was.
Sami Zayn jumps off the top rope and attempts to do another tornado DDT, and Antonio Cesaro catches him and throws him up for the Swiss Death European uppercut, and then hits him with the neutralizer, and then that's the end of the match. That was one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, that uppercut alone gave me vibes of WWE All Stars.
Oh my god. I know it's probably too late at this point, and we're probably not getting it. If we don't get it in this game, for the love of God, in 2K15, give Antonio Cesaro the fucking Swiss Death catching finisher.
Yes.
For the love of God, give it to him. So anyway, that was last week. This week's NXT, unfortunately, we didn't see any Antonio Cesaro.
No.
Um, however, we start off with a match between CJ Parker and Tyler Breeze.
For the record, fuck CJ Parker.
Yeah, he had. By the way, we're going to be saying this a lot. CJ Parker has an awesome theme, but it doesn't fit him.
He's not good enough for this team.
No, he's not. NXT, as we've recently discovered, is the land of base themes.
Yes.
So anyway, CJ Parker comes out and does his stupid hippie gimmick, and it sucks. You know, his hippie gimmick is terrible. And it's not even that the gimmick is terrible, it's that he's terrible
Yeah.
at doing it.
The execution is very, very poor.
Indeed. This is no superstar Billy Graham, with the tie-dye. This is garbage. CJ Parker sucks.
But
Future
luckily,
of garbage.
there's a good part about this match, though, and that's his
Tyler
opponent.
Breeze!
He is. I did not expect I'd like him as much as I do.
Oh my god, Tyler Breeze is amazing. That theme, that entrance, that voice, that heel character.
He's really
Holy
good at
shit.
it.
Tyler Breeze, I don't expect him to be a main event heel, but he will definitely make for an awesome mid-card heel in the future.
Yes.
Definitely going to be an awesome mid-card heel. And you know what? There is a need for that. There's a
Yep.
need for mid-card heels as much as there's a need for main event heels. And Tyler Breeze I think Tyler Breeze would make a great Intercontinental Champion or US Champion.
Yes, he would.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would
So
like to see
Tyler
him work with some of those mid carders forever. You know, like Kofi Kingston.
Mhm.
And you know what?
Um,
Even Zack Ryder. They could do
oh
some
yeah,
good stuff between Zack Ryder and Tyler Breeze. Easy.
oh yeah, they could. So anyway, Tyler Breeze's character is amazing. He's basically Zoolander. He's Zoolander. I mean, it's he's even got the voice for it, and it's perfect. Um, this match came about because last week Tyler Breeze was doing an interview and he was taking a photo of himself, and CJ Parker photobombed the interview. And Tyler Breeze was like, "You've ruined my life," which was the funniest goddamn thing.
Yep.
CJ Parker photobombing my picture. He's ruining my life.
It's
And
hilarious. Honestly, you guys you need
indeed,
to watch these past like last week's episode for sure, and then definitely this week's episode.
you need to marathon watch NXT from June of last year till now.
Okay, I haven't even done that.
You need to. But so anyway, CJ Parker loses because Tyler Breeze hits him in the corner with the phone, I think.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that at first, and if it wasn't for base as fuck William Regal pointing it out, I don't think I would have
Yes,
noticed.
William Regal, amazing on commentary, and needs to replace Jerry Lawler immediately.
Yes, because he actually explains to you why some moves are good and why some moves aren't so good.
And he also puts characters over, and he does a lot of great shit. And quite frankly, he sounds like he gives a damn.
And a lot of people really wanted that world title push for Regal, but I think he seems to be enjoying himself more as a commentator than he was as an on-screen character.
Well, I think he definitely should have got a world title push in 2008 when they were going with it.
Yeah.
But I do think William Regal is in a good place where he is now. So anyway, um, so after we come back, after the match is over, Emma has an interview, and it's Diva's interview. Nothing really much here, just kind of pushing the match that she's having with Summer Rae. And we then move on to that match next. But before we do, the announcer says that she wanted everyone to know that Tyler Breeze has left the building.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that. I love that. It's the small details like that that make an awesome character.
Yep.
Quite frankly, Tyler Breeze, he has a bright future ahead of him, especially since before he became Tyler Breeze, he was just regular old Mike Dalton. Nobody gave a shit about him. He was an FCW champion for like a week. Nobody gave a shit. Fuck Mike Dalton. Tyler Breeze is where it's at.
Yep.
Which is funny because that seems to be a huge theme in NXT. A lot of characters getting a lot of wrestlers getting character changes that just make them for the better.
And that's just a part of developmental too.
Mm-hmm.
They gotta find that thing that works and then, nurture that character.
Bray Wyatt, anybody?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we then move on to Summer Rae versus Emma, which I gotta say, NXT Divas matches blow WWE Divas matches out of the water.
Absolutely. I kept saying when we were watching it how impressed I was with
Indeed,
the NXT Divas because they put on probably the best Divas match I've seen, maybe bar AJ and Caitlyn stuff because I enjoy those two when they work together.
indeed. Honestly, the future of women's wrestling in WWE is looking really good. Although part of that is, quite frankly, because who trains the divas in NXT? Sarah Del Rey.
Which was another mind blowing thing for me. I knew she was with the company, but I didn't know she was a trainer. So
Indeed, she trains the divas, and especially with that new performance center, the divas in WWE, bright future ahead of them. The ones that go through NXT anyway.
yeah. And I will say this: I was shocked to find out that Summer Rae is billed from North Carolina. I think that's definitely full of shit. There's
That's
no way.
probably not.
There's no way that North Carolina produced something as awesome and amazingly beautiful as Summer Rae. There's no
Summer Rae
fucking
is
way.
also an awesome heel diva.
Yes, she is.
After she lost the match, Emma wins, by the way, with awesome submissions, by the way. But submissions everywhere. in this match. There were tons of submissions in this match, and awesome ones, not just the generic armbar or headlock. We saw some really awesome submissions, both from Summer Rae and uh, Emma.
I knew it. I looked it up on Wikipedia. She's from New York. Fuck you, WWE. Fuck you.
Maybe she's living in North Carolina now.
Doesn't matter. She wasn't. They made me think for a minute that North Carolina did something good. I'm not disappointed.
He's heartbroken.
All these feels.
Anyway, so we was that next? Maybe it was. I don't remember. It might have been next. We then go into the back for a promo of Sylvester Lefort with some redneck guy. I forget his name. He's so unmemorable. Um, he is with
I can't think
easily
of his name either.
the most over motherfucker on NXT, Enzo Amore. Give this man all the fucking titles.
All
Holy
of the,
shit. Holy shit, Enzo Amore is entertaining as hell.
and the crowd fucking loves him.
So they have a little conversation in the back, and Scott Dawson was the guy's name. Scott Dawson. But they're having a conversation in the back, and Lafort says, "Oui, why don't you team up with us?" Because Sylvester Lafort is a Frenchman. By the way, Sylvester Lafort is an awesome manager. I'm just going to throw that out there. He's perfectly obnoxious for a manager. And he has that fucking sweet golden jacket.
He does.
So Enzo is like, you know, screw you, I ain't doing that. You're nothing but SAWFT soft. You know, bada boom, realest guy in the room.
And the crowd during the match too, they actually chant soft.
Oh yeah. So anyway, so they decide to have a match between Enzo Amore and Scott Dawson. And Enzo comes out and cuts a promo. You know, he does his whole thing. Bada boom, realest guy in the room. SAWFT soft. In fact, one time Enzo Amore is just absolutely amazing on the mic because he's so believable.
Mm-hmm.
And like I remember when he had a match, he said when he was a heel, Big Cass and Enzo Amore cut a promo on Mason Ryan, and he's like, "You better get the 314 because you about to eat some pie."
Oh
Just
wow.
it was just so fucking funny because he's so cheesy and wonderful. Enzo Amore brings the perfect kind of cheese, and Enzo Amore, he's one of those people who I would be happy with him getting all the titles, but I would also be happy with him being the number one jobber because he fits that role perfectly. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he is so lovable and so entertaining, and just Enzo Amore is awesome. If you haven't seen him, check him out. He is hilarious. So anyway, Enzo Amore and Scott Dawson have a pretty good match, and all of a sudden, Big Rusev comes out and hits Big Cass from behind, and that causes the distraction for Scott Dawson to get the win. The wrong man went over, in my opinion. But we now know that Rusev is now part of LaFort's crew. And
Which you
Rusev,
were just wanting that too. You were
I
just
know,
saying how I think it'd be a good idea if they did that, and then they
because
did.
Rusev, he was on last week's NXT, and he had a match with Dolph Ziggler. And Rusev is awesome. I forget his name. I think it's like Alexander. But he is a huge guy, and he's awesome in the ring. But I don't know how well he can talk. He's like Bulgarian or something. But if he has a manager, you know what it would remind me of, and I said this before we started the podcast, but I said it would remind me of Estrada and Umaga. Definitely getting Umaga and Estrada vibes from Rusev and LaForte.
I wouldn't complain. I liked those two.
And quite frankly, I would love to see them go in that direction with Rusev.
Mm-hmm.
So we then move on to Sami Zayn coming out to cut a promo. And they're asking him about his match with Antonio Cesaro, which the crowd started chanting match of the year.
Which was awesome.
I love the NXT crowd, by the way. The NXT crowd is actually lively and gives a damn about the product. It helps, though, that the show is always awesome. So anyway, Sami Zayn comes out and says that Cesaro was the better man in that match, and he doesn't know when he's going to face him again. And then he says that he's going to focus on going after the title. And then Bo Dallas comes out to a sea of boos. No, my mistake. A sea of bows.
You actually went there.
Yes. He comes out and starts cutting a heel promo on Sami Zayn. Now, for weeks, Bo Dallas has been booked as like the next John Cena. You know, he's been booked as this face, and the fans hate him. They hate Bo Dallas, and we're not talking heel heat. We're talking get the fuck out and die heat.
They turned their backs on him.
Yeah, when Bo Dallas won the NXT title against Big E Langston, he was drenched in a sea of booze, and the fans, you could actually see the fans visibly get up and turn their back on him. When that happens to your character, to your wrestler that you're booking to be the big face of the company, something is wrong. Something is seriously wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, they caught on to it. They caught on to it and made him a heel. That's the smartest thing they could have done because they could at least salvage him.
He's still one of the worst things to happen to professional wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. I still say he's the worst thing to happen to professional wrestling. I'd rather have a million John Cenas than one Bo Dallas. That's not even a joke. I'd rather have a million John Cenas wrestling every single Raw against each other than one Bo Dallas. In
Oh
fact,
man.
in fact, I'm happy with John Cena being a main eventer for the rest of my lifetime if it means that Bo Dallas will not be around. I do not regret saying that at all. Bo Dallas is that bad. And not only that, but he's just, I mean, I'm not the kind of guy to really say this about somebody, but the man's a fucking mongoloid. Look at him. My God, his face scares children. Look at him. Jesus Christ. When we do the video version of this, the YouTube version, I want you to put a picture of Bo Dallas's face when we talk about Bo Dallas. His face is frightening. His face is honest to goodness frightening. It scares children. It scares me, and I'm 25 years old. My
Yep.
God, that man is hideous.
Anyway.
So anyway, he comes out and he cuts a heel promo and he says Sami Zayn hurt him at the SummerSlam Access, and therefore he doesn't want to have a match with him. And he says that Sami Zayn is green, which made me think that this has to be an inside joke at this point. You know, there is no way the trainers at NXT didn't think, okay, this would be funny. There is no way in hell that they didn't think that. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Sami Zayn then tries to tell Bo, "You're delusional, man. These people hate you." And Bo Dallas is like, "They don't hate me. They love me. They're my believers." And then he's like, "Dude, they boo you out of the building." He goes, "They're not booing. They're chanting Bo." It reminded me of that episode of The Simpsons where they have that film contest, the film festival, and Mr. Burns has his movie, and the people are chanting "boo" when it's over, and then Smithers was like, "They're not saying boo, they're saying Boo Earns." Definitely got that kind of vibe from that promo, and honestly, it was hilarious. Bo Dallas still sucks, but he made me laugh, and I guess that at least is something.
Yep. But
So
Zeb
then,
Coulter came out.
yes, Zeb Coulter came out. I was just about to get to that. So Zeb Coulter comes out, and he's like, "You stupid border hopper, get off my lawn, goddamn you!"
Pretty much.
And then, and he's like, "Well, I see you don't want to do this the easy way, so we got to do it the hard way." And then Jack Swagger came out and beat the shit out of Sami Zayn. And then it was booked that next week we will have Jack Swagger versus Sami Zayn, which I'm looking forward to.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And we then move on to the main event, which is Adrian Neville versus Conor O'Brien. And part of what this match, part of the build up for this match was Corey Graves in the beginning of the show is doing an interview with Renee, and Rick Victor comes out and starts talking shit to him, and then Conor O'Brien attacks him from the back, and they injure him and all that shit. So Neville and Conor had a good match. O'Connor has has definitely improved in a lot of ways. Um, he's definitely a great big man now. Has a real menacing look. Has an awesome theme. The Ascension theme is awesome. Um, really like the new character. I definitely think they need to change his name though, because I mean, are you really gonna get? Are you really afraid of O'Connor?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they. I mean, obviously they don't need to go with something super cheesy, like Darkness or something like that. You know,
Mhm.
just give him a name that's a little more than just Brian O'Connor or whatever the hell his name is. Is it Brian
It's Connor O'Brien, I think.
Connor? Is it Connor O'Brien?
Mhm.
Holy shit! That's how bad his name is, folks. I kept calling him O'Connor. So anyway, but Connor O'Brien is good. I like Connor O'Brien, and his new attire, he looks like Shao Kahn.
Yeah, he looks I don't know. When you compare him what he looks like now to what he looked like before, it's definitely a pretty big improvement.
He's not Ratman anymore,
No, he's not.
and that's always a plus. I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked the rat gimmick. I thought it was hilarious, but when you have a big man like that, you want him to look intimidating, not, you know. And Conor O'Brien is fucking huge. Like, he is deceptively huge.
Yep.
He
But
has that, like, he has that Roman Reigns kind of hugeness where he looks smaller on TV than he probably is in real life.
right.
So Adrian Neville wins in a pretty easy win, actually. It was kind of just kind of anticlimactic.
Well, you could tell at that point in the show they were definitely lower on time.
Yeah, because usually most NXT shows do not go that long. They're usually like 48 minutes. This one was like 55.
Yeah, they're always under an hour.
So they definitely were kind of pushing it. So um, Adrian Neville wins with a 450 splash, which before that he was doing a corkscrew shooting star press. Maybe they told him to stop doing it.
Which would be unfortunate.
I don't think you've even seen it yet.
I haven't.
You need to
I'll,
look. You
I'm
know
gonna
what?
have to go look it up.
Go look it up right now.
No, I'll do it later.
No, you know what? I'll look it up for you because I want to get your live reaction for the podcast.
Man, alright. Look it up for me.
And of course, my Firefox is freezing. Professionals, ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, NXT main event tier. Easy. The past 2 weeks I've really enjoyed it. I think I would say even to the point I'm gonna break the scale for last week's show and make it WrestleMania main event tier.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's how
Anyway, I have a video now.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna
Oh
copy
dear.
this. Copy. I'm gonna paste this to him over Skype. I want him to see this fucking thing, and I'm probably gonna post this on YouTube, or not on YouTube, to I'm probably gonna post this on the Facebook group page or the Facebook fan page because I
All
want
right,
people.
here we go. Oh my god! Oh my god! That was
Yeah,
so cool.
I know. And for his size, I mean, yeah, he's not super tall, but he's pretty built. You know, he's pretty thick for his size. To be able to fucking do that,
that that was a work of art. That was
I know it
beautiful.
was. Yes, it was. So anyway, after the match, Rick Victor comes out and attacks Adrian Neville, and Corey Graves comes out all hurt and tries to make the save, but it doesn't work. And the Ascension are on top at the end of the show. As Matt said, definitely main event show. NXT is awesome and always has been awesome. It's now on Hulu. You have no excuse.
Yep.
It's on Hulu every Wednesday, and if you can't watch it on Hulu for whatever reason, it's on the internet the next morning. We watched it through Daily Motion,
Yes.
so you have no
Um,
excuse.
moving on to our next subject, because we've been talking about wrestling for a while.
We
Um,
still have more wrestling to talk about.
yeah, I know. I just read something interesting, and I'm going to officially dub Bully Ray our heel of the week,
Oh,
which is going to be a new segment where we talk about something in either video games or wrestling that is honestly just
heelish.
heelish. Um, I didn't watch the video, uh, but reportedly from the thread I'm reading about it, it seemed to be an out of character interview, but what he said was very in character anyway.
Oh,
But in an interview, he said, "Who gives a crap about technical wrestling? Listen, technical wrestling doesn't put asses in seats. Nobody wants to see technical wrestling. Technical wrestling is boring. People want to see car crashes and big explosions, and they want to see guys fight and bleed and have sex with the other guy's girlfriend."
huh.
So just completely bury technical wrestling. I don't care if it's in character or out of character. I mean, good God, you just really
Buried half of the roster.
you buried half of the TNA roster. You buried
Well,
almost a lot of the indie scene.
indeed.
So easy heel of the week.
Yeah. I like the Bully Ray character though. I don't watch TNA, but I do. From what I have seen, I do like the character.
Yep,
Um, Speaking of, I guess, things that we could talk about real quick, Ted DiBiase left WWE
that's on his own accord.
on his own accord. I don't know. I don't think it was anything like negative between the two of them. I think it was just he just left. You know.
Yep,
Um,
they weren't
I
doing
don't know though. I
anything
guess
with
there
him.
could be something there. But anyway, how long do you think it's gonna be till he goes to TNA?
I don't think he's going.
Can you believe it, Taz? You stupid Goomba! The $1,000 kid, Ted Diabetes, has entered the Impact Zone
I honestly I don't see him going there.
and joined the main event Mafia.
Please, let's not.
But enough about that. I kind of built this up when we were talking about Raw. It's time to talk about Bray Wyatt and why he is one of the coolest characters in all of wrestling. Holy shit, is this character awesome!
Oh yes.
So, many people have been speculating that there might be more to the Bray Wyatt character than we are letting on. So, as of now, the character is basically some backwoods cult leader who, you know, is just creepy and a backwoods cult leader. However, after some research, there may be more to this than meets the eye. Bray Wyatt may very well be an incarnation of the devil or death,
Dun dun dun.
and there's things to back this up. Okay?
We are now going to change the way you view Bray Wyatt forever.
Indeed. And we are going to leave a link to this in the show notes.
Yes, we
Now,
are.
I'm actually going to read some of this from the website that we are looking at here. And we definitely think that there are reasons why Bray Wyatt may, in fact, be the devil. In in an interview, actually, we also there's more to it than that. It's not just that he's the devil, but that the devil has possessed Husky Harris
Through the hat.
through the hat, and he
Yes,
is now
that
Bray Wyatt.
sounds ridiculous, but it makes sense.
Indeed, and this is going all the way back to NXT. Okay, on an episode of NXT, he cut a promo, and during that promo, he took his hat off and then began to talk more like a normal person, Husky Harris, and just was speaking normally. And then all of a sudden, he put the hat back on, and all of a sudden, his demeanor changed. He suddenly got darker again, and he started talking with that low cowl voice, and just, oh my god. There was definitely something there, and Bray Wyatt is that smart with his character that he would leave subtle hints like that. That's the beauty of Bray Wyatt's character, is there's a lot of subtlety.
Whether or not creative knows it is not
It's not
really known.
it's not like it's not like Kevin Thorne or the Boogeyman where it's all obvious. Bray Wyatt's character shines because of its subtlety. And there's also in an unreleased promo, he says something along the lines of Samael, he's all yours. The full thing says he there's something inside me, I can't explain it. He calls it an evil that hasn't been seen in a long, long time. And he ends the promo with the name Samael, he's all yours. Who is Samael? Well, according to Wikipedia, no one represented evil better than Samael, although he could be seen as good or bad depending on what vision of the story you read. He is said to be the prince of demons. He is an accuser, destroyer, and seducer. Samael is one of the archangels in Talmudic and Christian religions. According to stigmologists, his name means venom of God. He is the angel of death who uses poison to slay men. Sound familiar?
Jesus.
And from later on in the same article, like any other biblical angel, Samael can fly like a bird, yet he commands an army of demons that will do whatever he tells them to do. He is evil personified and is said to be equal to Satan.
Oh my god, it's definitely Bray Wyatt.
That is Bray Wyatt.
That is follow the crows,
Follow the buzzards.
buzzards, whatever. You can tell I don't keep up with wrestling as much as I should. My bad.
So anyway, yeah, there's reason to believe that the Bray Wyatt character is a demon possessing Husky Harris. And not just any demon, but the devil himself.
Mm-hmm.
There's also
He
a
dropped
promo.
hints at Kane too.
Yes, he did. He dropped hints at Kane when he first. One of the reasons why he first attacked Kane was because Kane calls himself the devil's favorite demon, but Bray Wyatt said that he needs to watch what he says because he doesn't know who is listening. Could
Yep.
it be a reference to Samael? In fact, that same night that he cut that promo on Kane, he releases on Twitter, "What do you know of Samael?" So,
Oof.
suffice to say, there's there's credence to this theory. In fact, his exact promo on Kane was, "I hear you like to call yourself the devil's favorite demon, but you, sir, are no demon. And the devil? Nah, man. Kane, I'd like to let you in on a secret. You ought to be careful of who you say these things in front of, because you never know who is listening." So
Some
indeed,
deep stuff, man.
indeed, the Bray Wyatt character, definitely, definitely awesome, and it's so subtle. You have to actually do the research yourself to even figure this stuff out. It's not like Michael Cole would be obnoxiously telling you, "Oh, he's possessed by a demon." No, people on the internet figured this out. Now, whether or not WWE actually wants to go through with this, I don't know. But the fact is, I think that Bray Wyatt is going through with this, whether WWE wants to have him do it or not.
Yeah, because they probably, the creative won't catch on to that.
No, and it's all very subtle. And that's what makes Bray Wyatt. The man is a master on the mic. Who the fuck, go back 2 or 3 years ago, who the fuck would have believed that Husky Harris would be one of the coolest characters in wrestling ever?
Nobody.
Nobody would have believed that. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to say on Bray Wyatt. He's awesome. And if you haven't seen the Sister Abigail promo, it is on our Facebook page. They did play it on Raw. They're probably going to play it on SmackDown. And yeah, I look forward to Bray Wyatt's future.
I do too. It's very bright, or I don't know if I'd say bright because of his character,
Indeed.
but I guess he's got a very dark future ahead of him.
That's true too.
I
And
think
with that,
that's
I
gonna do
think
it for
that
wrestling,
that's it for wrestling.
which means we're in
So
my turf now.
it's time for Vidya Games.
Video games. Big
Vidya
news this week
Games.
coming straight out of Nintendo. Straight out the gate, we were revealed to the Nintendo 2DS.
Ugh.
Which is going to be a 3DS that's just one giant screen, doesn't fold over, does not have the 3D part, but plays the 3DS games, and is only $130. But interestingly enough, just so happens to drop the same day as Pokemon X and Y. Now,
I could
if
see
anyone can tell me that this isn't a Pokemon selling machine, you're a liar.
I could see the idea. This is supposed to be like for the young kid who's just starting with video games.
And it's a Pokemon selling machine. That's what it is.
But at the same time, but at the same time, if you're gonna give your kid a 3DS, just give him a 3DS.
Yes, actual regular 3DS like mine, not the XL, only runs for about $25-$30 more,
I mean,
and
what's the
it's gonna
fucking
last
difference at this
longer.
point? What's the fucking difference at the point? At this point, oh, 3DS for poor people. That's basically what you're telling me.
This is also a 3DS that can be broken a lot easier. Your screens can get damaged a lot easier. Don't
Yeah,
have the ability to fold the system together and protect your screens. You don't get that with the 2DS.
no, honestly, my broke ass can't really afford a 3DS right now on its own. But if I could, or if I saved up the money to get a 3DS, I'd just get a regular 3DS or a 3DS XL. I wouldn't get the 2DS because if I'm getting a 3DS, I want the 3D.
Right? That's the whole point of the system. If you
Indeed.
wanted to play a 2DS, then get a regular DS. Get a DSi.
I have a DS. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some great games on the 3DS that I wouldn't be able to play, but I'm not going to insult myself by getting a 2DS just because it's like a couple dollars cheaper.
Yep. And speaking of 3DS games, we did get a release date for A Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds.
Which
Will
is
drop November 22nd, and I have now pre-ordered my copy.
awesome. Holiday season.
Holiday
Um,
season always brings about some great stuff, and when they first announced we were getting the sequel to Link to the Past, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then we started to see more of it, and we saw that, yes, it's the same world, but it's changing. We got some
Indeed.
interesting stuff going on. Link to the Past, definitely looking forward to it, honestly. It's going to be awesome.
Personally, A Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game out of all of them, and it's the one I've played the most. It's the one I've beaten the most. And quite frankly, the fact that they're making a sequel for it in the world that I grew up with, in the world that I played the most, I'm looking forward to this. I initially, when I first heard the news, I was ecstatic. I'm the one that told him because I was so ecstatic about
Yep.
it.
I think it was like when I first got online, I knew Nintendo Direct was going on. But before
I
I even got the chance to look at IGN or Kotaku, Dave was like, dude!
holy shit! Just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Just like the 3DS has easily one of the best libraries right now,
Oh, yes.
and it's definitely on my on my list of systems to pick up.
Hell,
At the
I might as well. You should see how much your DSi will go in for, because you can take that off of the cost of a 3DS.
I don't know if I'm gonna do that,
I mean,
but
you can play your DS games on a
no, but I can play
3DS.
my G. I know, but I can play my GBA games on that.
On a DSi?
I don't have a DSi.
Oh, you have a regular DS. Okay,
I have a regular DS.
that's right. That's right.
So anyway,
That's not the
another.
only Nintendo news.
I was just gonna say another Nintendo news. The Wii U is getting a price cut, $50.
Effective September 20th. Honestly, it's
That's a
not.
good thing.
It's a good thing, but it's not enough. They still don't have a library for it yet.
No, but I think, but you know what though? By the time someone like me actually decides to pick up a Wii U, that's when we're gonna start seeing more of those games coming out.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a good thing.
Oh, it's definitely not a bad thing. I just don't know
Definitely,
if $50 was. Same thing with the Vita. I don't know if 50's enough.
yeah, but 100 might be too much. You know?
I would say 75, man. You know,
Yeah, it's like. Let me just put it this way: 75 would be a good idea in our eyes, but in the eyes of people who are trying to make money on this thing, 75 might be like right on the line.
yeah, but if you get people to buy the console, making it more affordable, especially with these two new consoles just a couple months away from dropping on us.
That's true, but well, what the fuck do we know? We're just the guys buying the games. They're the guys making them.
Yeah, but so lots of interesting things coming from Nintendo, and I'm still definitely gonna keep my 3DS and not gonna be looking into Wii U stuff quite yet. Now the Wii U, I can't say
Although,
the Wii U has none of my interest. I can't say it doesn't. There's just not enough for me to fork out the money for one.
yeah, some things we did learn about though. Wind Waker HD is going to have some new features.
Yes,
One of which includes Hero Mode, which is basically a hard mode. Um,
that's the quest, bitch.
basically, this mode is going to basically give enemies 2 times damage against you, and you will not find any recovery hearts at all.
Nope, it's only potions.
Only potions, which some people are complaining about this, believe it or not, in the sense that
They don't have to play it. It's
I know
optional.
that, but some people are saying that they probably wouldn't play this mode because you know that once you get to a certain amount of hearts, you have to listen to that stupid alarm. And since there are no recovery hearts, you basically have to listen to that stupid alarm until you get a potion.
Yeah, but if you're smart, this is for diehard Zelda fans anyway. If you're a
Oh
diehard
yeah,
fan,
this
you're
is
not gonna care.
this is definitely for like the people who have mastered the game.
Yeah. And speaking of the game itself, good God, it looks amazing. Like
Yes, it
graphics
does.
wise, it's beautiful.
Weren't you also telling me they're introducing a first-person mode?
Yes, there's a first-person camera for dungeons. We don't really know the extent of how it works in gameplay because I personally haven't seen any footage yet. There could be some out there that I just haven't seen, but as of this recording, I haven't not seen it.
You know, actually, Zelda in the first person would really not be a bad idea. It's definitely something that can be done. In fact, there is a fan project out there that actually takes The Legend of Zelda 2 for the NES and actually does make it 3D. And it does work. I mean, it's still only in like a early stages, I think. But from what I've seen, it's still interesting, and it's definitely something that I would definitely check out in my free time.
Yeah,
And honestly, first person Zelda is definitely something that Nintendo should consider. Maybe not forever, like not make every Zelda game first person after this, but I do think that it's something that maybe they could experiment in.
yep. And for those of you who really want to play Wind Waker HD and you don't want to wait till October, it will be launching on digital Wii U platform, I think about 3 weeks early. But for people like me and Dave, who if we were really wanting a Wii U, there is going to be a Wind Waker HD bundle, console
And
bundle.
and what's gonna be in the bundle?
It's the console, which I believe the controller has the Hylian like Triforce symbol on the back,
Oh
and
yeah,
then it comes with the game.
nice.
So basically, it's for any um, major Zelda fans that are not Wii U adopters. Because the hardcore Zelda fan is going to have that Zelda themed Wii U gamepad.
Sounds good to me.
But that will be launching for I believe as well as at $300. Um, but also just posted on IGN about 10 15 minutes ago. We have learned what September's free PlayStation Plus games are.
Ooh,
Alright, honestly, not anything huge, but there is some good things here.
okay.
We got Galaga Legions DX for PSN. You'll probably
Ooh,
take that off my account.
I probably will.
We'll be for the PSP/Vita. We'll be getting Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. We'll also be getting Eco HD for the PS3, a
Hmm.
classic that everyone should play. I actually have only played Shadow, so I'll probably take advantage of this opportunity to play Eco.
I've
We'll,
never played any of those games.
we'll be getting the Resident Evil Chronicles HD collection for the PS3. Now, I'm
Hmm.
not sure if those are rail shooters. I'm not gonna say anything too much now, but I believe they might be online co-op.
Ooh.
And finally, for Vita users, we get Rayman Origins, which is awesome. I'm happy we're getting that for free.
Wait, you guys are getting Rayman Origins?
Yep, for the Vita for free.
Oh, for the Vita.
Yep.
Ah, boo!
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Boo! Boo
Bo!
this man!
Bo! Bo!
Uh,
Bo!
oh God! Boo this company!
But yeah,
No,
honestly, it's not a spectacular lineup. There's nothing huge, but I think for with the PS4 coming up in November, we're not going to get any super big free games on PS Plus. We'll get some
probably
fun titles like this, and I'm not going to complain about that either.
no. It's still free games. Even we might joke around about things like that, but it is still free games, and you can't really argue with that.
You can, and if you're a PS3 user and you still don't have PS Plus, and you have the money for it, let me add that in. You're doing something very wrong with your life. Very wrong.
Hmm.
Because you get so much free crap that within about a month, instantly you get it paid off. Because you get 12 free games straight out the gate. So
Nice.
everyone should go adopt PS Plus if you have the money for it. You'd be stupid not to at this point.
Gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, he can speak because he gets the games off me. So
Indeed. So Matt, you wanted to talk more about Saints Row 4.
yes, 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 I do. I have gotten a little bit further in the game. I'm not done with it yet because my backlog is a little bit crazy. But I'm playing it as I get the chance to, and I've gotten more of the superpowers. And
That's good.
the superpowers are broken. They are so broken beyond belief, but at the same time, that's another thing that makes the game so awesome. And I know
And
IGN said the superpowers were overpowered, and the game score took a hit because of that. But that's just typical IGN bullshit anyway. The game is fun. It's honestly fun. I'm still having a blast with it, and I've had it for over a week now. So take that as you will. I'm I will give a full review on it on here once I actually finish it, but
indeed,
it's definitely still giving it my recommendation for those looking for a good time killer, waiting for games like GTA 5 and stuff in the coming weeks.
that's true. And honestly, we're still doing Saints Row the Third for my channel, and we've been
Eventually,
having a blast with that. We've been having a blast with that, though.
we
When
have.
we actually do record it. And honestly, the Saints Row games are really awesome games. If you haven't played them, you should.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And with that, Matt, you are going to do kind of a review right now. We're going to be Actually, I'm pretty much going to be giving it to him for quite a while because, well, this is his territory, not really mine. I might, interject something every once in a while, but he's going to be talking about One Piece Pirate Warriors 2.
Yes, I will be. This is my review of One Piece Pirate Warriors 2. That will be. I do have one on a website called Saiyan Island, but this one's going to be different because I've played the game a lot more since then. Essentially, One Piece Pirate Warriors 2 is the follow up to last year's entry in the Pirate Warriors series, which is when um, it is Dynasty Warriors with a One Piece skin. It's kind of similar to Fists of the North Star, Ken's Rage, and the Gundam Muso games, where essentially it's for the fans. They're meant to be fun time killers where you get to beat a bunch of dudes to death with your favorite anime characters.
Indeed. I actually have Ken's Rage 1, fun game. Have yet to play Ken's Rage 2, but I really want to. Huge fan of Fist of the North Star, and I like the Dynasty Warriors game, so Koei's okay in my book.
Yeah. Honestly, if you don't like Dynasty Warriors, you're not gonna like any of the anime games. You're not gonna like anything like that.
IGN.
Yeah, IGN. They last year they reviewed One Piece Pirate Warriors 1 and they tore a new one because they said it was a Dynasty Warriors game. Now I'll admit Pirate Warriors 1 was not the best Dynasty Warriors game I've ever played, but this outright bash the game like they did was a bit much even for them.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Ken's Rage 2. They just gave it a 3 and said it's awful.
Yeah, they said don't buy it because it's Dynasty Warriors. And honestly, that alone should once again remind people why you don't listen to IGN's reviews. But
Classic Gamer Munderto said the same thing about Ken's Rage 2. They said it was basically a worse version of Ken's Rage,
which is
which,
nonsense. I've played them both. Ken's Rage 2 is light years superior. It's crazy how much better 2 is over 1, and that same logic applies to One Piece Pirate Warriors 2. One Piece Pirate Warriors 2, one of the biggest complaints about the first game actually was that the roster was tiny, and that was a complaint for mine too. But I also understood it was the first game, it was running on a new version of the Dynasty Warriors engine where they had revamped how combos work. So I wasn't, too upset about the roster in the first game. Now the roster in the second game triples what was in the first. Well, also we got a whole bunch of new characters. We also got all the ones from the first game. So all the pre-time skip Straw Hats, because the first game was about pre-time skip. And the second game, um, is all about after the story's time skip. So you get all the time skip Straw Hats, all the pre-time skip Straw Hats, and all their allies and enemies. We didn't have any playable villains in the first game, but we got a fuck ton of them here in the second one. So already you can see that Pirate Warriors 2 is already a better game. Straight from the fact that the roster's huge and no characters play the same except for, of course, the two Luffys, the two Zoros. And even then, they're still kind of different because they're from two entirely different parts of the story. Unlike the Naruto fighters, where they'll be all from the same part and have like two different moves, and they think that warrants a new character slot. But I digress on that one. So gameplay wise, they take out all the annoying platforming bits from Pirate Warriors 1. This is straight Dynasty Warriors fuck 'em up action. It is amazingly fun. You'll have hundreds of enemies on the screen coming at you, and you're just wailing on them. You're beating them down with Luffy's fist. You're cutting them up with Zoro. You're kicking the shit out of them with Sanji, or with two of my favorite characters to play as with Kuzan. You're freezing them and then breaking them. So you're killing them in one of the most cool and violent ways possible. Then with my other favorite character, Law, one of his moves is that he replaces their heads with cannonballs and detonates the cannonballs, which
jeez.
it looks really awesome in the game. So gameplay
Hmm.
wise, it's way better. It's more fun. You don't really feel like you're having to waste your time by going to platform or go to a. Now there are certain objectives they want you to go to, obviously for leveling purposes, but that's pretty standard from a Dynasty Warriors game. The music is great. You get new tracks, and you get remixes of the tracks from the first game, which is always welcome, as well as the regular versions of the tracks from the first game. So basically, it's like three OSTs got smashed together for this one game, and I love me some game music, so that's definitely not a negative.
So about the game music, I know a lot of people complain about this from Dynasty Warriors games and even the Ken's Rage games. Um, is it just like a generic heavy metal, or do they actually have like songs that fit the atmosphere
The
and
songs fit the
are actually
atmosphere.
and are they actually songs from the anime?
No. There are no songs, these are all original songs for the game, but they fit One Piece. That's the important part. They
Okay,
do
so
fit
it's
with One Piece.
because I know one of the things that people complained about with Ken's Rage, and while I disagree with it, I love the soundtrack to Ken's Rage. A lot of people did complain that it was kind of just like generic heavy metal with just a heavy metal version of the main theme song.
But that worked for Ken's Rage. That's all you should
It
care
did
about.
work.
That's all
It
people
did
should
work for
care about is
Ken's
that it
Rage,
worked.
but that's good to know. And another question about this game that I have is I you know a lot more about One Piece than I do. You read the manga, you watch the anime religiously. Um, you love One Piece to death.
I do.
But for someone like me who doesn't really watch it that much, who doesn't read the manga, would it be a good introduction?
Well, that guess that kind of leads me into the final point is the story of the game. The story is original.
It's an original story, so
It's
it's
an
not
original story. So honestly, if you're just looking, you know, I would say it actually is a good entry point because you can still meet and get introduced to these characters and still have this own little side story, and that could get people. I've seen on people who have the game because it's out in English in Europe. It came out today over there. We don't get it till next two. We don't get it till the 3rd of September over here on PSN. But people are saying that they don't like One Piece that much, but they like the game because they don't feel like they're having to keep up with each and every plot point. Because they don't have to think about, oh, I gotta remember this character don't get along because this event that happened in two or three cutscenes ago. You don't have to worry about that in this one.
okay.
You're
So
here to have fun with the game and meet the characters.
so yeah, to go back to Ken's Rage for a minute, is it like Ken Rage's dream mode, or is it like an actual story?
It's an actual story.
Okay, because
It's
it's
definitely
its
a
own
what
original
if. It's
story.
a what if, honestly. It's called.
Okay,
It is called Dream Mode, actually. It's
huh?
called One Piece Dream Mode. It's an original story that basically takes a lot of plot points, like locations and characters, but takes away all the story from them and throws them around, and you'll meet certain characters that become your allies. But essentially, here's how the story starts. It starts off, um, the Straw Hats are being chased by Marines. They flee to a sky island called Skypiea, where they encounter the ruler of this land, who is the god Eneru. His signature line is "I am God," or I think he says, "People don't fear God. God is fear," or something really weird. But it's also awesome. His powers are electricity, so naturally Luffy is his natural enemy because Luffy is made of rubber. So you get to fight him, and then the Marines are able to follow you up onto this island. So you have to retreat. So you go back down to the regular sea, and you're at this island called Punk Hazard, which the climate has been wrecked by a battle between two Marine admirals. So where half the island is ice and half of it is on fire.
Hmm, that's
You go there,
interesting.
and there's a giant research laboratory where you hide from the Marines in, and Luffy finds this dial, which is like something that can hold in air or absorb damage and deal it back to your opponent. And when he pushes it, a purple gas fills the room. From that, he's on the other side of it, but that's where almost his entire crew is. And he turns around, and everyone but Luffy and Nami, they're standing still and their eyes have turned red because they have now been
Jeez.
brainwashed, and they attack Luffy.
Wow.
So Luffy and Nami retreat back to the ship, and they have to get away because their crewmates are trying to kill them.
Definitely sounds interesting. I mean, I don't expect you to go over the entire plot, but
No, that's just
needless
the
to say,
prologue. It kicks off from there. You're gonna meet characters, you're gonna make alliances, and you're gonna try and get your crewmates back because you have to
that
beat
is
sense back into them.
that is definitely interesting, though. So I guess as far as that goes, needless to say, you really liked the game.
I do. It's really fun. It's such a huge improvement over the first game. It's crazy. And you can tell the team are fans of One Piece. It's obvious.
Now, is this going to be like Ken's Rage 2 and be digital distribution and
Yes. No, 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 no. One Piece Part Warriors 2 is only PSN digital distribution in North America. However, Europe and Japan did get physical disc copies. And that's because Namco is more wary about releasing One Piece over here because it's still trying to find, like, it's still building up after what 4Kids did to it back in the early 2000s. But
now another question. I know this happened with Ken's Rage 2. The voice acting. Did they use the English voice actors,
no, they did
or
not.
it is all Japanese?
Yes, and a lot of people are petitioning for an English dub. However, with where the English anime is at in comparison to where this game takes place, it's never going to happen because of how many new voices they're going to have to cast, and that could bring up issues later to where if they have to change voices. And honestly, I love the English dub, but for game purposes, I'm perfectly okay with a Japanese dub.
Okay,
So, out of if I had to give it a score based on our SuperPlex Brothers thing, I would easily say it's main event. Easy.
good to know.
And that's
Good
not
to
coming
know.
from a fanboy standpoint. That's coming from a gamer standpoint.
Good to know.
Now I'm gonna give the floor over to you so we can wrap this up and you can review your game for the week.
Indeed. Last week I mentioned that I got DuckTales Remastered, and I finally beat it. And I only beat it once, but I figure we may as well talk about it. DuckTales Remastered, of course, is a remake of the original DuckTales NES game. However, it's not quite a remake. That's why they called it remastered, because there are some new things added to it. First and foremost, there is a tutorial level now. And while some people might find this annoying, I do think that it's a nice touch. Honestly, it was a good bit of plot device. One of the biggest complaints I hear about this game is that there's too much plot. And honestly, get over yourself. Really? It's DuckTales. You know, I like that they actually gave us a reason to do these things within the context of the DuckTales universe. I like that. That's detail. They didn't need to do it, but it's a nice touch. And they actually got the original voice actors back for the most part. There are some omissions due to just various circumstances. The most notable is Flintheart Glomgold. He did not come back because he's dead. So they
It's
did get a
depressing.
replacement. They did get a replacement for him, and his replacement did a good job. But they got, for the most part, all the voice actors back that they could, and they did their roles pretty damn good. I'm not going to say flawlessly because there are some situations with Scrooge where his dialogue does sound a little iffy, but I'm going to cut him some slack because the man is 94 years old. The man Alan Young who played him is 94 years old. And for a 94-year-old, he did a good job. Now, one of the biggest complaints about this game is that there are too many cutscenes, and I would agree were it not for the fact that you can skip the cutscenes. And that's the big thing. People have been complaining that, oh, well, this game has too many cutscenes and it breaks the flow of gameplay. Yes, it does, but it's still not that bad when you can skip them. And some people are like, well, it's kind of hard to skip them. No, press start and go to skip cinematic. That's all you have to do.
Not
Not that
hard.
hard. Not that hard at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would probably have been better if you could just press start and it does it for you, or if you just pressed X and it does it for you. But honestly, that's nitpicking. That is absolute nitpicking. And as far as the gameplay goes, gameplay's just fine. The game offers you a choice between hard pogo, which is basically the classic game style. In the original game, when you went to use your pogo stick, you had to hold down while in the air, while in order to use your pogo. And in the normal game, you can just hold the jump button, and it works just fine. You could choose between either one, and I'm glad that they let you do that. Um, there are some things also to talk about between the difficulty settings. You have easy, medium, and hard, and you can actually unlock an expert mode, which I haven't even done yet because I've only beaten the game once. Easy mode will give you uh, more durability, but easy mode will give you more durability, and not only that, but you also have unlimited lives. So that's a plus, I guess, if you want an easier time. However, the unfortunate side is uh, you do not find the hidden treasures. So instead of hidden treasures, they just give you more hearts. In normal mode, you have lives, but there are no hidden treasures because you also have the hearts increase. And in hard mode, you have the hidden treasures, uh, and you also take more damage, and you have lives. And I don't even know what expert mode is. So
Hard,
in
super hard.
yeah, expert mode is probably just like ball bustingly difficult. So anyway, we actually have the original 5 levels from the game. We have the Amazon, we have Transylvania, we have um, the African mines, we have the Himalayas, and we have the moon. And quite frankly, these levels are as you remember them, to the detail. Honestly, they did a real good job with this. They did change some things for story purposes, like in each level, there's something that you have to collect in order to proceed to the next area, which can be a little annoying because every time you collect something, they do play a cutscene, which, like I said, can be kind of annoying. But the fact that you can skip these cutscenes, it's tolerable. It's really tolerable, and in my opinion, I really didn't feel like skipping the cutscenes because, like I said, they were enjoyable to me. I like the dialogue in this game. They did a real good job with that. It feels like a lost episode of DuckTales. That's what it feels like. This game was definitely made with fans of the original game and the original cartoon in mind. And honestly, I think they did a good job with that. Um, every character is as you remember them. Um, and they're all there. You got Scrooge, you got the nephews, you got Launchpad, you got Webby and Mrs. Beakley, you got Duckworth the butler, you got Launchpad, you have Bubba, you have Gyro, you have Fenton and Gizmo Duck. You have on the villain side, you have the Beagle Boys, you have Flintheart Glomgold, you have Magica Dispel. These characters are all there, and they do a great job. As far as the actual gameplay goes, like I said, plays just fine. You're going to be looking for a lot of treasure. You're going to be making a lot of money. One of my favorite Easter eggs in the game is in the Amazon level. The In the original game, there was a statue that told you that you had to pay. I think it was like $300,000. You had to pay $300,000, and it would give you a platform to climb up. Well, you can attack the statue and get your money back, and it gives you a trophy for it. It says something like it gives it's a pretty funny trophy. I forget the name of it, but it's a pretty funny little Easter egg for people who remember the original game. The music in this game is absolutely phenomenal. The guy who did it, I forget his name at the moment, but did a fantastic job remixing. And honestly, in the original game, a lot of people focused on the moon, and while the moon theme in this game is fantastic, there are a lot of tracks that were done really well in this game that deserve credit as well. honestly, the Amazon theme, the Transylvania theme, the African Mine theme is funky as hell, and I love it. The Himalayas theme is really good. And even the original music in the game, from the first tutorial level to the new level that they introduced in the game, the final level, Mount Vesuvius. In the original DuckTales game, when you beat the 5 levels, they made you go back to Transylvania to beat the game. In this game, they don't do that. They just make a new level, Mount Vesuvius, and they did a good job with it. In fact, there's a lot of backtracking in this game that they got in the original game that they got rid of. In the African mine stage, you needed a key to get into the level full, and they would send you back to Transylvania to get the key. So you had to go through Transylvania 3 times in the original game.
Yeesh.
In this game, they cut that part out. The key is in the African mines, so they cut that out completely. And the final level is Mount Vesuvius. So you're only going through Transylvania once. Definitely an improvement in that regard. The boss battles are also a lot better. They're harder. That's a good thing. Boss battles are definitely harder. So anyway, um, honestly, I don't really have all that much to say. It's a fun game. Would I call it main event? No. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's still really good for what it is. If it was like a $30 game, I probably would bitch because the game is a little short. But for $15, I'd say it's worth the price. I'm going to say it's an upper mid-card game.
All right.
And with that, I think that's going to do it. The only thing we have left to do is talk about our stuff on our channels.
Yep, and I'll just do mine real fast. Same stuff as last time. Tomb Raider and Persona 3 being the big projects. However, with One Piece Pirate Warriors 2 launching on Tuesday, I am pushing out the rest of the Japanese version of the game over the course of the weekend, and then starting Tuesday, I will be beginning my English playthrough of Pirate Warriors 2 as well. But besides that, nothing really else on my channel out of the ordinary.
On my channel, of course, Tecmo World Wrestling is still going on, and whenever we get around to it, we're still going to have more Saints Row the Third go up. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else that I'm really planning at the moment. No, it's pretty much going to be Tecmo World Wrestling. For the most part, is going to be the focal point. And then whenever I get to uploading more Saints Row the Third, that's going to happen. And I'll probably think of something after that. But honestly, that's going to do it for us. So I know we're kind of just cutting this kind of abruptly, but it's really all we have to talk about. So until next time.
Well, there's one more thing.
What?
Summer Spam.
Oh yes, we have our own wrestling league, World Championship Spamming, which is based off of a shitty forum that you guys don't need to know about.
But it's still entertaining shows
But the
nonetheless.
show is still entertaining nonetheless. We both do commentary for it. He records it for the most part,
I
but
do just about everything.
yeah, the only thing, I mean, I contribute for commentary and I contribute for booking, but other than that, it is mostly him, and he puts a lot of work into it. You guys have no idea how much work he puts into it, and it would mean a lot to us if you guys checked it out. So
That'll be in the show notes.
it will be in the show notes. By the time this goes up on YouTube, Summer Spam will have already aired, because we're airing it tonight, right?
Yes, we are airing it tonight, which we're recording this on August 29th.
Yes, we
So,
are. Yes, it's a Thursday now. Um, so yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do it.
alright.
So I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
We're the SuperPlex brothers, and until next time, take care.